This offseason, many Detroit Lions fans have often speculated what exactly the Lions were going to do to fix the pass rushing problem. But as it appears now, Brad Holmes has always been on top of it and is once again showing his business acumen as a GM to understand how to fix it. We're going to talk about it, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. Folks, before I get started, I once again want to say thank you to all those who have donated to my GoFundMe page to help me get back on my feet, in regards to the car accident that I had earlier last month. We've already made a good chunk into it. We're still accepting donations. I'm still hopeful to get some more support. Again, I'm already thankful for those that have offered support, monetary donations. So again, I just want to make sure I continue to put that out there because again, I truly am grateful. I truly am thankful for all of those that have done it. I'm going to again put a picture up there and I'm going to put the link to the GoFundMe page if you guys want to donate in the comment section or the information section of this video. But I just want to make sure I always send appreciation and thankfulness for all that you guys have done because you guys are truly an amazing crowd. You guys are truly an amazing group of people. But having said that, when it comes to this offseason, every offseason there always seems to be a position that gets a whole hell of a lot of attention as far as, okay, what exactly is Brad Holmes going to do to try and solve this problem? A lot of off seasons, it's been quarterback. Then once, as I have always stated, Jared Goff was finally, recognized by not only the majority of the fan base, but also was finally, given the contract by Brad Holmes. That went away. We'd also had conversations about, wide receiver. We've had conversations aplenty about the defensive line. But now, this offseason has been primarily pass rusher, pass rusher, pass rusher. That has been primarily all anybody has talked about. And I understand why that's the case because everybody is listen, after seeing what the Eagles did yesterday, in the Super Bowl this year, it's listen, having a conglomeration of pass rushers in which you can use to constantly go after an opposing offense's quarterback will really go a long way to allowing you to win a Super Bowl. In this entire offseason, Lions fans have been man, what if we were to do this? What if we were going to do that? And obviously the main, body of what people have talked about has been trading for one of the two primary pass rushers that everybody has talked about, which was obviously Maxx Crosby and Myles Garrett. As we currently know, Brad Holmes has pretty much shut down any kind of idea, any kind of notion, any kind of plan as to how and why that would be something the Lions would truly actually pursue. Part of the reason has been because, listen, we know Brad Holmes, he's not big on trading high-end draft picks. We also know that Brad Holmes has got to look at the structure of the roster for what it currently is and say, hey, we've got all these guys that are coming up that need to be paid. We can't really take on another massive contract from another top-end player like a Myles Garrett, like a Maxx Crosby, because we have to pay the guys that we already currently have. And let's understand something. That's even with $50+ million worth of cap space, because you have to understand something. What a lot of Lions fans are not getting or grasping is that they just want to see success right now. And it's not like we haven't had success. We've had 3 straight winning seasons, something that has not happened since, I think it was the early 90s. We've had 2 straight division titles. We had a number 1 seed this year. So it's not that the Lions have not had success per se. They have definitely had that. It's rather the Super Bowl question, the Super Bowl success. Lions fans, how do I put this? The Lions fans that are particularly heavy on this idea about drafting an edge rusher are about, listen, we want to get to a Super Bowl. We want to win a Super Bowl. It's time. Our window is open. We need to make a big-time move, such as, trading for a Myles Garrett or a Max Crosby, a big-time superstar edge rusher to pair opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. And again, as I have very, very, finally tried to walk this thin line, I have never once been against the idea or the notion that the Lions should pursue it. I have just always been of the mindset, listen, I just don't think it's going to happen because of many of the reasons that I've already stated and the reasons that Brad Holmes himself stated. But here's the thing that I always find funny about how Lions fans in particular always kind of come back around, in a sense, to what Brad Holmes is doing, understanding what it is he is trying to do, understand how he is when it comes to maintaining the structural integrity of the current roster. Because again, Lions fans want a Super Bowl. I get that. I understand that. Trust me, I want a Super Bowl. But as I have stated before, I'll say it again now, and I will say it again going into the future. Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, Sheila, Jared Goff, the rest of the big-time players that are associated with, the freaking Detroit Lions, Sheila, Chris, the whole lot of them, they are not interested in one damn Super Bowl. They want more than one Super Bowl. They want Super Bowls. They want to build a dynasty. They want to build a team, a roster, a program, an organization that can compete and win for years, if not decade plus. And you can't go about doing that with the kind of mindset of, hey, you know what, we're going to go all in and we're just going to trade for this one particular player because we think that's the guy that's going to get us over the hump. We've seen teams that have done that in the past, and it has been hit or miss as far as how that has worked out. Some teams, it works out great. They're able to find that one piece, and they're able to win that Super Bowl. Other teams, it's like, listen, they put all their chips into the center, and they get that guy, and then it doesn't go anywhere. But the one thing I can say with 100% authenticity, 100% accuracy, is no team that has ever traded the farm, mortgaged the house, done whatever term you'd like to use, to get that one individual player that they think that's going to put them over the top, has been ever able to establish themselves as a long-term threat, as a long-term Super Bowl contender. Because when you trade all of those pieces to get that one player, you are severely limiting what that team can do long term. Yeah, sure, you got the short term piece to go out and win that Super Bowl, win that championship right now. And that's great, grand, and glorious. I'm not knocking going out and getting a Super Bowl championship. I understand the allure, the attraction, the desire for that. But the Lions are not interested in just being a one-time shooting star that as soon as it was here, oh great, they're there, and then they're now gone. The Lions aren't interested in that. They've never been interested in that. And when we come to this conversation that we're having right now, Brad Holmes is showing the genius of what it is he is trying to do. Think about it. The only trade that Brad Holmes has ever made that was of a big time, kind of like, holy cow, it just shook the entire foundations of the NFL. It just made massive news, was the very first trade he ever pulled off, which was the Stafford-Goff trade. And I'm going to say this right now. That trade has worked out very well for the Lions. You get a top 5 quarterback in Jared Goff. I don't care what anyone wants to say. You take a look at the stats, take a look at the product, you take a look at the results. Jared Goff is a top 5 quarterback. It is done, written in stone. If you want to try and argue it, you will look like a fool. And I will make you look like a fool, and I will not have a problem doing it. But take a look at all of the results that have come after that trade. All of the draft picks to get these top-notch players that we now have that are, the envy of other teams, such as Aiden Hutchinson, Penei Sewell, Kirby Joseph, Aleem McNeil, Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell. We have so many different pieces due to how Brad Holmes has worked the draft, worked all this stuff to his benefit from just that one massive trade. But if you now think about it, Lions fans are like, listen, screw them draft picks, F them draft picks, just like Les Snead did with the Rams. And it's like, listen, that's all great, grand, fine, and glorious. But the Rams have never gotten back to the Super Bowl since that time. Oh yeah, everybody's going to want to say, well, they were really close this last year. Okay, as my dad has said, I have said it, and it's a common phrase in the world, and it's a common phrase in the military that I'm in. Close only counts in hand shoes and horse grenades, in hand grenades and horseshoes. Pardon me, man, I don't know why I was having such a hard time getting that out of my mouth. But nobody gives a damn about being close. Case in point, nobody gave a damn about how close we were to getting to the Super Bowl, 2 years ago when we lost only 34-31 against the 49ers. Close doesn't count. What counts is, did you get there? What counts is, did you win it? We haven't seen that happen for the Rams since then. And yeah, you know what? The Rams just figured out their situation with Matthew Stafford. But here's the thing. The Rams' time is gone. I'm sorry. I don't know how else to put it to you, but they are restructuring, they're reorganizing their entire roster because a lot of their superstars are getting old, they're getting set to retire. Aaron Donald, retired. Matthew Stafford, even though he's coming back, he's getting up there. He's 37, 38 years old? He's only got a couple of years left. And then on top of that, they're getting rid of Cooper Kupp. It's like, again, what the Lions are trying to do is they're trying to build a core nucleus, a core nexus of players that will be around long-term to sustain long-term success. And that is exactly what the Lions have been doing this offseason. They're not trying to go out and trade the entire farm, mortgage the home, give up everything to go and get one player. They are continuing the process that has been a tried and true method throughout the entirety of the NFL's history. You take a look at every single freaking dynasty that has ever existed. Doesn't matter if it was the freaking Steelers of the 70s. Doesn't matter if you also want to throw the Cowboys of the 70s in there. Or the Cowboys of the 90s. Doesn't matter if you throw the 49ers of the 80s in there. Doesn't matter if you throw the Patriots of the 2000s and the 2010s. Or the freaking Chiefs in there. Every single one of them has done the exact same thing. They build meticulously, continuously through the draft. They're not out there trying to make massive trades. They're out there trying to build their core through the draft, and when they find a player that is a really good player that comes up on the free agency market, that's when they pounce. We saw the Lions do that last year when they went out and they got DJ Reader. DJ Reader was an excellent pickup for us. Excellent pickup. Same thing with Kevin Zeitler. Another excellent pickup for us. That's what the Lions are all about doing. They're not interested in making big-time trades because trades have always proven that, listen, you have to give up an immense amount of draft capital, an immense amount of resources to acquire that one singular player. Let's call for what it is. This isn't the damn NBA or the damn MLB where it's like, oh yeah, you can do multiple trades with multiple teams and you can get these massive packages and oh, you know what? You're not nearly giving up as much as what you're giving up in the NFL. That's not the way it works. In the NFL, I'm going to be honest, I can't recall too many, if ever, multiple team trades where it's like, hey, you've got 3 teams that are all working together or 4 teams all working together to make this trade happen by saying, hey, I trade you this piece, we get that piece, you get this piece, and da-da-da-da-da. That's not the way it works in the NFL. Brad Holmes knows this. So for Brad Holmes, the understanding of the trade market is, listen, if there's a guy that we like that's not going to cost us a freaking arm, a leg, a kidney, a liver, and all these other pieces, and we can make it work, then sure, we're going to go for it. But otherwise, they're building their primary, nexus, their primary roster through the draft and free agency. And of those two, primarily through the draft. Because let's think about it here. Everybody wants to talk about, oh yeah, we should have traded for Garrett. We should have traded for Crosby. Okay, back up here. Let's take a look at that situation for truly what it is. Max Crosby would make the most sense because he is literally, 28, 29 years old? He's got about a good 4, 5, maybe 6 years left of good quality pass rushing, production. Myles Garrett's like 30, 31. He's got maybe half of that. But yet you're still going to have to pay that premium star price for those players. Well, when you've got all these other guys you've just paid, Goff, St. Brown, Decker, freaking Sewell, and McNeil, you got all these guys you just paid. Now you add another top-end player on top of that, you're really eating into whatever potential guy that you're trying to maintain on this roster. What have we known about the freaking Lions, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, since day freaking one? They like their guys. They want to keep their guys. What do you think they value more? Bringing in a guy who might be a fit for their team, might be a fit for their culture, might be a fit for their work ethic, might be a fit for all that nonsense, or a guy that they know tried and true definitely is. They know exactly what the culture is. They know exactly what is expected of them. They have built them. They have matured them. They have grown them. They have done all of that since day one when they drafted them. Which do you think they value more? I'll tell you exactly which one they value more. They value keeping their core guys. They value making sure that the guys that they want stay here. That's why they re-signed Jared Goff. That's why they re-signed Penei Sewell. That's why they re-signed, extended Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aleem McNeil, because those are their core guys. And they're going to continue to do that with guys like Aiden Hutchinson, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams, Brian Branch, Jack Campbell, the whole 9 yards. That's just what they do. And it makes sense. Again, what is more cost effective? Drafting a rookie that you can grow, you can cultivate, you can mature, you can make them into the image that you want them to be, which is going to be exponentially cheaper on the front end and also on the back end because you're not trading that draft capital. You're not having to also make sure you rework a new contract in there. Versus, oh, you know what? I make a trade for this superstar player who's disgruntled with the team that he's currently with, probably wants a new deal on top of that. So now not only do I have to trade away draft capital, which could really help solidify the team for at least another 4 or 5 years, because that's how these rookie contracts are set up. They're set up for 4 years if they're not a first-round draft pick, or they're 4 years with a fifth-year option for the first-round draft pick. That is exponentially much more profitable, much more sustainable than constantly making trades for all these big-time superstars. And I get it. I understand it. It's much more attractive. It's much more dramatic. It's much more sexy, if you will, to go and make a big-time trade for a superstar and say, man, we went out there and we really showed the NFL we mean business. We want to go and get this superstar. Yes, I get it. It makes a hell of a lot of sense. It makes a big news splash and you're in the news cycle for the next couple of cycles, whatever the case might be. But is that really what you want? Do you want just one bite at that apple, or do you want multiple bites at the apple? Do you want one serving of that sweet, delicious, rich cake, or do you want to have multiple goes at it? That's what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and the rest of them are all thinking. We're not looking for just one shot. We're looking for multiple shots. And that's why going the draft route makes a hell of a lot of sense. There is so many top-end draft prospects right now for the edge rushing position. It would be foolish for them to make all of this noise just to trade for one guy, when you can go out and you can trade an extra draft pick to move up 10, 12, 15 spots to go and get, a James Pierce, a Mike Green, a Jack Sawyer, whatever the case might be, and then pair him with frickin' Zadarius Smith and frickin' Aiden Hutchinson for a year or two. That makes much more sense not only for the here and now, but for the long-term future. And that to me is what Brad Holmes has always shown. He always is able to see the bigger picture. Now everybody's going to say, well, David, what about the Eagles? They've always shown that they can do things the way they've done it. Okay, I'm going to tell you this right now. Just like I have said before in the past, you cannot transplant a culture or an identity from one place and expect it to work in the other place. It's the same thing here. What works for the Eagles works for the Eagles. What works for the Lions works for the Lions. You cannot expect it. You can take something from what the Eagles do and put it here in Detroit, and somehow that's going to work. Any more than you can expect how you could take it from here in Detroit and put it in Philadelphia and it would work. Every team is different about how they make their rosters. Every team is different about how they go about making success. And that's the truth. When you take a look at the Lions, I've said it before. If not for the fact that the Lions had an injury bug, like the freaking plague of, freaking plagues of Egypt, the Lions could have very well gotten to a Super Bowl. Everyone can say, well, there's no chance because the Eagles' defense was that dominant. Okay, let me put this out there for you. The Eagles' defense was dominant, but before Hutchinson got injured, our defense was dominant. And that was with guys already getting injured. If we had less than half of the guys we got injured, I have no doubt in my mind we could have made a Super Bowl. I have no doubt in my mind if we'd have played against the Chiefs, we would have rocked their world. Our offense is better than the Eagles' offense. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. When our offense, even sputtering with a freaking distracted and already checked out freaking Ben Johnson, can put up 31 points, then I have no doubt in my mind that against Steve Spagnuolo's defense, which, by the way, we already had beaten that defense with rookies, with less offensive weaponry than we had this year, I have no doubt in my mind that had our defense actually been healthy, we could have won a Super Bowl this year. And I guarantee you that's the exact same mindset that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have. It's like, listen, so long as we're able to stay healthy, we can win. All we need to do is just add more depth for if and when we have those injuries again. That's literally what it comes down to. Now, obviously, the Lions are not just looking to add depth. They're looking to add more top-end pieces. But that's my whole point. There's no reason to sell the farm for one player when if you take a look at the broad-ass picture that's going on here and say, hey, you know what? Do the Lions really need that one special player to make everything work? No, they don't. They have proven that going by their methodology, going by their process, they can win right now. All that screwed us over was the injury bug. If not for that injury bug, I guarantee you we could have had a chance to hoist the Lombardi this year. I guarantee it. I have no doubt about that in my mind. All the haters can say otherwise, but it's like, listen, even with a hobbled defense, we finished 15-2. Even with a hobbled defense, we still finished with the best offense in the NFL. Even with a hobbled defense, we had freaking not just record-setting season this year. We were able to break records or get records that are NFL history-making records. So for me, it's like, listen, what's the sense of fretting about making a big-time splash for one player when you've been proven over the last 4 years your methodology is working just fine? There's absolutely no reason to throw out the baby with the bathwater. There's no reason to freaking rework the freaking the wheel. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Lions have proven their methodology works. There's no reason to completely rework it over. But anyway, I'm going to end this conversation. I've said my piece. So having said that, I'm going to say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed in the past and forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage y'all, please, not only make sure you keep coming back to the channel, but by doing so, please hit that bell notification icon that's next to the subscription button so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Also want to highly encourage y'all, please share this content with your Lions friends and family members. Share here on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Share anywhere and everywhere you possibly can. Also, with that having been said, whether this is the first time you're watching me, you guys have been watching me forever and a day, I hope and pray that you guys not only got something out of it, but that you liked the content. And I also hope that everybody out there has something in their life that makes them happy, makes them smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.